Fellow truth seekers, since the release of The Matrix, we have been awakened to the possibility that our perception of reality is not what it seems. The words of Morpheus to Neo were more than just popcorn fodder. They were a call to arms, a challenge to question the nature of our existence. So many of us feel a splinter in our minds, a sense that something is not right with the world. We don't know what it is, but we can feel it. The world is coming apart at the seams, and there seems to be no end to the anxieties we have about our society's future. But it's more than just the obvious problems we can see on the surface. There's something fundamentally wrong with the nature of reality itself, something corrupt. We feel a profound sense of emptiness here, and nothing ever seems to fill it. We know deep down we are meant to be full, but we're not sure what's missing. It seems like we should be able to remember. Have you ever felt like the world is not your home? We see things that remind us of where we belong, but we can never fully capture that sense of belonging. As C.S. Lewis called it, we're living in the Shadowlands, a world that is not quite real. We're easily tricked into believing that this is all there is, that this is the only reality. But this is just a simulacrum. This is a false copy of the true reality. The Matrix was more correct than we realize, and the filmmakers behind it were not the first to notice. Many people have died and gone to another place. They have experiences there, talk to beings, and then come back to tell their stories. We call these people near-death experiencers, and they have near-death experiences, or NDEs. Most of these people see a giant light at the end of a tunnel when they die. Their family members show up and coax them to go into the light. The whole thing seems to be an abrupt love fest, very culty, meant to overwhelm your senses and your awareness. What if this light is a trap? What if your soul is free and unencumbered in its original state? And at the moment of your physical body's death, your soul becomes free to go anywhere. But these friendly beings that look like Grandma June show up and manipulate your soul into this giant ball of light. Is this nothing more than the cheese on a mousetrap? And why would Grandma June do this? Because they need your soul for something. Maybe it's their food. Maybe our souls hold some kind of sustenance for dark and discrete powers, but many NDEs report a memory wipe. So they're coaxed into an agreement, agreeing to go back to Earth, into a new body, human or otherwise. But why is there a need for a memory wipe? Is it to keep us ignorant of the truth? In ancient Greek cosmology, Orphism believed that the newly dead were made to drink from the river Leth, or Lethe, which caused them to lose all memory of their mortal life. But there were also those initiated into the teachings of Orphism who were taught to drink from the river Mnemosyne, the waters of memory. And why were some allowed to remember and others not? Think about all the wisdom and all the memories, all the things you loved, gone, erased, wiped from your memory. Your soul returns to Earth in a new form with no recollection of the life it just lived. Because if you remembered your past lives with all their lessons and traumas, you might start to see this world for what it truly is, a prison, or worse, a livestock pen. These dark forces that disguise themselves as your family members, they're highly intelligent beings, and they convince us to go into this light at death because they're using us for sustenance. They know that our souls are immortal and pure in their original state, but by subjecting us to emotional pain, trauma, or even good things like a sense of belonging, we produce energy. This energy some have called Loosh. You might think of this energy as what other cultures have referred to as chi, prana, or even pneuma, but the term Loosh comes from Robert Monroe's book Far Journeys, where he used a technology called hemisync to exit his physical body and traverse other dimensions using his light body, or some might call it his astral body. He used these journeys to acquire information from non-human beings in other realms or dimensions, and on one occasion, he asked for a detailed history of Earth and was given the story from an objective perspective. It's a long, technical story, but in short, this energy, Loosh, is a naturally occurring energy. Some describe it as a love radiation. It's found throughout the universe in different forms and potencies. Quoting now from Far Journeys. Someone, somewhere, or both, in millions or unaccountable, requires, likes, needs, values, collects, drinks, eats, or uses as a drug a substance identified as Loosh. This is a rare substance in some places, and those who possess Loosh find it vital for whatever it is used for. Faced with this question of supply and demand, someone decided to produce it artificially, so to speak, rather than search for it in its natural form. He decided to build a garden and grow Loosh. End quote. As you might have guessed, this garden was Earth. Now imagine someone, some higher being, experimenting with Earth's biology and geology until they found the perfect life form for Loosh production. Us. Humans. That's right. They found that humans produce a pure and potent form of Loosh, unparalleled by any other source. But the thing that made humans produce this energy was loneliness, among other things. Quoting again from Far Journeys, I've revised some of the technical language to make it a little clearer to understand. Quote, "It was standing alone under a leafy upper portion of a large tree. It wasn't hungry. It was not in conflict with another human. It was not acting in defense of its young. Then why did it emanate distilled Loosh in such great quantity?" Someone moved closer. His perception entered into the human unit, and then he knew. The unit was lonely. It was this effect that produced distilled Loosh. As someone drew back, he noted another unusual inconsistency. The human unit suddenly had become aware of his presence. It had collapsed and was jerking in strange convulsions on the solid base formation. Clear liquid was being expelled from the two radiation-perceiving orifices. With this, the distilled Loosh emitted became even more pronounced. End quote. Loneliness and fear were key to human Loosh production. But that wasn't all. Quoting again from Far Journeys. From experience, the collectors have evolved an entire technology with complementary tools for the harvesting of Loosh from the male human units. The most common have been named love, friendship, family, greed, hate, pain, guilt, disease, pride, ambition, ownership, possession, sacrifice, and on a larger scale, nations, provincialism, wars, famine, religion, machines, freedom, industry, trade, to list a few. Loosh production is higher than ever before. And again, that's from Robert Monroe's book, Far Journeys, pages 162 through 170. So these so-called collectors have created a world that maximizes human Loosh production with a ruthless corporate efficiency that would make Walmart blush. They tricked us into coming back to this Loosh farm with promises of wealth, fame, and a sense of duty to our loved ones or country, but it's all a lie. They just want us to pump out more Loosh for their bottom line. We cannot be killed, but we can be manipulated. Beginning in the 1st century after Christ, there were radical sects of Christians that believed that the creator of this world was actually an enemy and not our Father. Father God was previously unknown by humans, and the coming of Christ made a way for us to escape to our original home with the source of all things, which they termed the Pleroma. Scholars today call these sects the Gnostics. They also agreed that this place was a trap for souls. They called the creator the Demiurge, or Yaldabaoth, often depicted as a lion-headed serpent. Along with his minions, the Archons, they deceived humans into giving their worship to various archonic entities, harvesting the energy of this worship, like the Loosh that was described earlier. This idea is radically different from the teachings of mainstream Christianity. In this story, the fruit of the Garden of Eden enlightened Adam and Eve, causing them to turn away from Yaldabaoth as a false god.
Do you see the Loosh, the energy being sucked? Have you ever seen them sucking the energy out of another person? Have you ever seen the energy? You seen it?
Yeah, that's an everyday thing. Like, I'm pretty much that person who rarely ever leaves the house because I don't like being out there and seeing that stuff happening. You go out to the vet place, like, you know, we took our dog once, and I hated that place because, like, I could feel that from the dogs as well. Like, dogs are cute, but they're being, like, sucked out. Like, entities are, like, using dogs to, suck out their Loosh and stuff like that. And also people, like, you go to the hospital, everyone's disappointed, everyone has an ache and pain and stuff, and then these are there lurking and just, like, sucking it out, and you literally see, like I see that stuff, like, just gathered up and just, like, tons of stuff. And you and I, we were in person, like, together, and you were giving a session to someone else. And I could see every entity there. I could see the Loosh being gathered. I could see the changes, like, as the person does releases and gets the entities out. And they're trying to claim you. They're trying to, like, hey, I'm going to pretend that I'm the good stuff. Like, there's a process of, like, soul clarification where you get your good essences back and, like, soul aspects and stuff. So there will be entities that will pretend to be the good one to come back and like still clang in there, you know, like they disguise and like you just try to look like the white one and just like get it all light the energy, and like they come close and you're like, okay, come in, and all of a sudden it cannot come in because other parts of you are like blocking it, and they know what it is, you know. So it's a thing, like it's an everyday thing for me. And I don't like going out because like I'm seeing all the stuff, I'm feeling all the stuff, and it's like it's unpleasant. So I have to like tune it out all the way.
Wow. You know, I've known Akvile for 7 years, and I've learned something new about her every day. We've pretty much determined that she's extraterrestrial, alien, not from this planet. She hasn't been here a lot of times like I have. I've reincarnated on this planet quite a bit, and a lot of us have. She's kind of new, you know, she's back up. You know, we're going to call in the support team, man, help, we need special forces. So here, Akvile, and people like Akvile. Back to what we were talking about, Loosh. So is it like they harvest our Loosh, they suck the energy out of us? Is it normally, or what are your thoughts on? Is it just the negative energy they suck out of us, or can they suck the positive, the good stuff out of us too, you think?
How to say it? Like they suck out the negative energy and they feed off on that, but as they drain you out of your life essence and just takes out your illusion stuff, you know, all the good stuff you've had, it just dissolves. So it sort of like kills it. It's not like they suck it all out. It's just like it dissolves and it's like it's not just like not there anymore.
Yeah, it's like like we create life energy. Just, you know, we bring it in, we have it, or it's dormant, and we pull it up, and we bring it in, or we release other issue stuff that have got triggered in the subconscious. So we're walking around with this heavy cloud of this is me. We don't see it, but we're feeling it, and it's our life energy at a certain vibrational level, and we feel it as our emotional tone. So we can shake all that stuff off and use our life energy at a new vibrational. We just change the vibration of our life energy, and by not focusing on or thinking about our negative stuff, and we got our positive stuff going, so we're feeling it in a new way. But it's all our life energy. It's the life force that we are, or that we manifest as consciousness. And so be what we're going to be. But that's not so easy to suck off of us, as when we take our life energy and shit gets triggered, the IRS or the FDA or YouTube or some outside corporate entity starts beating on you and sucking the life out of you. What they've done is we get stopped and knocked down, and this changes our vibration. It goes lower and lower and lower and lower and lower. And that's how they like to, that's the energy they like. Because we start thinking negative things, and what we think tends, on a mass level of consciousness, what we think together in mass becomes our reality on physical planet Earth. Is that how you see that person?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So they like to. It's like, do you like your food fried, or you like it raw? Raw is healthy. That's our raw life energy. They like us to put it in. They like to pressure cooker us, put us under the heat, metaphorically speaking. And so we're like, and they cook it. They like it cooked. So they like our energy cooked or negative or in a low emotional feeling state. And then that's how they like to gobble it up and suck it off of us. Now, I wanted to ask you, Miss Eyeballs, does it like, what's it look like? I mean, is it a stream of energy coming? Like if we were going to do a special effects video on what it looked like, do they just get into our space and kind of like, what's it kind of look like?
Okay, let's imagine that, like you as a person, you see your body and stuff, but there's also like layers of energy, and it can like be seen as in like a mist, or like something like you can see through, like, like a gasoline through the air, like you can sort of see through it, but it's like it's sort of wavy. So there's that energy, And there's also like, you know, little bubbly parts of you that like, you know, make your soul and your soul essence and who you are, and just like tons of it, and just layers, and it's like very dense, very, you know, thick, and every person has it around them. Like depending on what happens, is going to shift and take a different shape. So it's sort of being affected by the entities, and depending on where they are, like some entities will like cling on your neck. So the whole energy is being sucked out from your body and goes like very dense, like over here, which is why people feel density like over here. Some people have like stomach ache, so all the energy they have around them is going to go like lower, 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 and just concentrate on there where it's being sucked out of. You can literally see like, you know, this like bubbly cloud being formed and just like sucked out, and just, you know, like a vortex or something, but like going from like that into thin, and like, you know, it's just like being taken out of you, and like tons of shapes. But like, yeah, there's like, I think in anime, if we talk, like there's Ajin, or like demi-human in English. It was very similar. Those people could like call out like invisible black matter, and like they call out this life force, and it's like they take the shape of another being, and that's like you going astral, literally, and you can be like fully active, and you can control the body and go astral and do whatever. And so it's very similar like that, except like, you know, in anime portraying that, but they have a very similar shape of those like density little particles making up who you are. And I was like, you know, I was like watching, I was like, hey, that's exactly how I see it when I go on the street. So that was like,
Yeah.
big. And I made a video about it, like cover up doing self-disclosure on that anime. So if, you know, we can leave it in the comments if anyone wants to watch it.
Great. Okay. It also reminds me of a book I have over on the shelf somewhere. It's called Hands of Light by Barbara Brennan. She was a physicist, pretty advanced, smart lady, but she was also psychic and clairvoyant. And so she wrote a book, a healing hands sort of thing, Hands of Light. And she has a lot of color prints in there. An artist drew what she sees. And it's very much like what you were explaining, Akvile. The different colors, like different body parts, are like the kidneys or the heart has got problems, and it'll be red or some other dark color. And that's the different vibrational wavelength of that energy. And then the entities will gravitate to that red color or that other lower vibration and start feeding off that. It's kind of like that.
Yeah, and what is amazing to me is that, you know, I see it. I don't have the good enough English skills or like vocabulary to explain what it looks like exactly, but then I'm always amazed that, you know, you've read a book, and, you know, there's all these big people writing about exactly what I see or experience out there. So it's like, it's amazing. It's a confirmation for me, and makes me feel better, like, oh, I'm not the only one.
Yeah. I'm trying to see it over here on the fucking, there it is. I guess I can grab it real fast. Just a second.
Okay.
I don't know if it's mirror image or what, but Hands
Yes,
of
it's
Light,
perfect.
Barbara Ann Brennan. Mm-hmm. There's quite a few pictures in here. Let me find some
Sure.
ones. Now, for example, this sort of thing here, different colors around the hips, around the face. This one was doing some healing work on, this is a close-up of the other one, I guess. You know, issues in the pelvic region. And let's see. Yeah, here's some sort of images of it, like this one down here. This one has the spots. The entities probably, and this has got the cloudy look. It's hard to see, but it's got the, I'm trying to get that. It's a head. Does it come through?
Yeah.
Let's see what else. And this page is different stuff. So, anyway, oh, and then here's a few more like this. Is that sort of kind of how you're seeing it too, or?
Pretty much, yeah. It's pretty much like it.
So yeah, so this is about energy and our emotional energy, our life energy, and Loosh, how entities suck it up and they grab it and stuff. So we started to make this video. We just brought it up, and the next thing you know, we got hit fucking hard, man. It was just like all over the fucking place. So we had to stop everything, and we did some entity work and universal release work on it. And the last thing we did was the entity work. So on my side, what happened was we had done a couple of other videos, and we were getting ready to make this one. And we were taking a break to get some coffee and start. And what had happened is we brought up the subject of Loosh, and that red flagged, you know, in the spirit world or something. And then they were right on top of it, and they didn't want us making this video. So after we dealt with all that stuff that got triggered between us, the last thing we did was the entity work, and I spotted the entity cluster that was really not wanting us to make this video. So as soon as that blew off, I just felt released and like now more ability, more able to, hey, yeah, I'm willing and able and enthusiastic about making this video about the subject of Loosh and entities and things. So here we are. We just made it. Is this a good place to end off, or should we talk about more, Akvile?
More, like a little bit more to give people like more value, because like that's it, guys. This is all you want to say.
Fuck. Yeah. What are some of the things we could?
You know, like there are like lots of ways people are triggered and being messed with every single day. It can be your everyday actions, like something you do will trigger things around you, or you know, it can be your thoughts, your emotional feeling states. And these entities will basically try to inflict like thoughts to your head, cause you to think negative things about you. Because people, and the way our nature is, we are not supposed to think negative things about it. We don't dwell on things like shit happens, like, oh, okay, I'll learn from it, I'll get better. You don't like think bad about that stuff or bad about yourself. Now, when you have entity clusters and stuff, they're going to come close and start telling you things, how bad you are, how much you suck, how you can't do this and that, and just nonstop negative thinking about yourself. Now, it's thoughts. They can also enhance people's emotions and, you know, like cause us to, like, okay, you get angry, you get pissed off, you get negative emotions, and it's okay to feel that way, but the entities, what they're going to do is, like, they're going to enhance it and make people go over the top. So now all of a sudden, one person says a thing, and it's usually causes no reaction, but when entities are close, they can enhance the feeling state, and all of a sudden you overreact like all over the place, and the thing that usually never triggers you or like just becomes a biggest thing in your life, and now you go crazy. And you know, there's like overreacting on what others do, overreacting on how you feel, and just like usually you feel, oh damn, I messed up, and it's like a little bit bad, but now it's gonna be all over the place. It's like the end of the world, and you're feeling like worse than ever. And like there's this sort of thing. Entities also try to bait us with like, you're living normal life and you're doing things and you're doing great, and the entity will give you a thing like, hey, you should do this, hey, you should think that, hey, you should say this, and they cause us to talk and say something that we didn't mean to say, and it just pops out and we cannot take it back, but it was the entity sort of like taking over and like causing you to say it, and like you picked up on it and you say it. You had something else in mind, but all of a sudden you pick on that, and that's how they bait us, you know, with actions like, you're not supposed to do that, or like, it's okay if you do that, but like, you know, about the consequences, so you don't do it. But entities will sort of like bait you and trick you and cause you like the big urge, the big need, and like big satisfaction after you do something. And there you go, you do it, and now it causes a big upset in the relationship and things like that. So it's like, it's a big thing, like in the whole, like, you know, yourself thing. And for people, like, you know, you cannot escape it unless you know how to control yourself. You cannot control others, you cannot change others and all this stuff, but you can change yourself. And if you know how entities are messing with you, if you know how they're affecting you, then you just need to learn to react. You need to know what thoughts are yours, what emotions are yours, and what is like artificial or like enhanced. And if you can react to it, take control of it, and not go over the top, then entities will have no effect on you. And so I guess like that's my point of this whole thing. Like they cannot mess with you because you are the bigger being than them. You can like change and undo them and all the stuff in a heartbeat, like in a second or like in a thought. And they cannot do that to us. They can mess with us all the freaking time, but if you have a single thought, they're not gonna mess with you. Your awareness will make them scared because now they know that you know, and they're gonna be afraid of messing with you in some sort of ways. So just being aware of them like is gonna scare them away. And like if you have problems, learn the patterns, learn how they're messing with you, be aware of it, and next time it happens and you are aware of the situation or like the triggers and what caused it, like you're not gonna react like you used to. So that's my
So
thing.
when we think about sex, it's supposed to be something that is full of joy and pleasure and creativity and comfort. It's something that's supposed to bring our body ease and delight. And yet, in our society, there's this weird kind of neurotic pattern around violence and pain. And you can see how this system is particularly inserted into violent pornography, right? Think of how much weird, perverted, violent pornography there exists in the world. Now, I do a lot of quantum work. One time I actually engaged in this quantum work with 2 other oracle women. We journeyed, basically would meditate and journey through our psychic senses to other realms. And we journeyed to this particular portal together near Portland, Oregon. We found this massive AI device in the astral plane that was tagged. And basically, when a person sees pornography of a specific brand, pornography that was created by these specific negative ETs, and a lot of the themes that were in that kind of in that particular frequency of pornography had to do with violence particularly, but also kind of like underage energies, like this weird perversion around younger, perversion and pedophilia, and also around incest. This particular, I could read all of these things in this negative ET energy siphoning station. And every time that, anyone came upon this pornography, think about how tricky this is, right? Because when people watch pornography, it literally opens up their energy system because they're feeling that arousal. Now, arousal is literally our life force energy. It's coming through the root chakra, which is taking in, is our access point, is our plug into the organic reality. So what it's literally doing is taking our source energy that's supposed to flow into our body, and it's plugging it into one of these etheric energy siphoning devices. Now, then human energy trafficking in the astral plane happens. Sometimes people just actually become absolutely addicted to these kinds of pornography because their energy is being trafficked and they're being abducted, and their energy is being totally hijacked by that experience. Now, for most people that don't get to that level of addiction, when they engage and they see these patterns, like humans are designed literally to learn through seeing things and through imitation. I think it's called mirror neurons, right? And this is how young people and children often begin to learn when they enter into the world. So when we see a certain energy pattern that's being shown on either TV, or in this case, we're talking about pornography, we will literally begin to imitate that geometry, and we begin to actually mold, believe it or not, our light body begins to mold to those shapes of consciousness inside what we're looking at. Okay. And so it's even more tricky with pornography because of the way that our energy body is being directly interacted with as pornography is playing. And so most people will become aroused, and this is how certain arousal programming can happen. I've seen these implants that literally go in underneath the corpus callosum, in the spine, in the tail, in the uterine wall. And I don't work on men's body, but I imagine is a similar anatomy. And these implants are literally engaging with the nervous system and sending responses through the nervous system. And this is how people then get into these distorted systems of arousal. Like why, I think the silliest thing is that, sometimes people can be programmed to be aroused at the sight of sock puppets, just things that are completely irrational and not natural and not really organic at all. Basically, these implants are able to control the response, especially the arousal response of our body, and they're inserted through our ocular system and through our energy system and through the astral system that tags in when we engage with these systems. Now, you might be thinking, I don't watch porn anymore, or, maybe I've never watched porn. Let's say that. I've never watched porn, and so I must be safe. Now, here's the craziest thing. This kind of programming is deeply infested in the Hollywood popular big media systems. Okay, we're talking about, where I grew up, it was Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera and Backstreet Boys, I guess, right? All of these, you will see, you might ask yourself, why is Hollywood consistently emitting things that are so sexual? Okay. I was once sent out to a grid work mission, going to, this is kind of a funny story and it's in my book, but I basically get pulled to this Ariana Grande concert, and it was hilarious because 3 days before this concert, I had no idea who she was. I mean, I don't watch TV. I don't really engage in any popular media. It's been like almost a decade that I've lived outside of that system, so I had no idea who Ariana Grande was. And 3 days before this concert, she was everywhere. Every billboard, every wall, everywhere I looked, there was this being that I never seen before. And then all of a sudden my Spotify comes on one day and it's her song playing, and I see, I'm like, what is this disgusting, I'm very sensitive to sound frequencies, and so when this song came on, I'm like, oh my god, what is this vile garbage? And so I grab my phone, I see in this Ariana Grande, I'm like, I've been seeing this being's face. And then out of nowhere, I got a call from my ex-boyfriend. And it's funny because this particular ex-boyfriend and I were definitely karmically experiencing a lot of fallen sexual energies, particularly so I can learn all about that, and attachment and trauma bonding and all of those things. But he called me out of the blue and he's like, hey, I've got an extra ticket to Ariana Grande concert. And I was like, I think I'm meant to go, right? It was just all a series of very strange circumstance. And so I was very lucky because as soon as I walked into the stadium, I knew I was there for grid work, because what happens is my multidimensional light body system will turn on and I'll begin to access and perceive and feel interdimensional energy all the way through my system. And I was able to basically perceive the concert through my multidimensional lens, which I had a great time doing, even though it really sucked. Because as one thing, I've already known all of these things through just my basic interaction of growing up in the Western culture. Like I said, I grew up listening. I didn't even listen. It was just like when the TV's on, these people would come up, right? And I consider these things societal sexual abuse. Okay. So this is very important because you might think, well, oh, it's normal. But it's absolutely not normal that your TV is on and you're 5 years old and Britney Spears is just singing on the TV about how she's a slave and she's just being all sexy and stuff. It's like, that is abuse. That's sexual abuse. That is societally entrained sexual abuse. And it's very important that we point this out because so many people come to me and they say, well, I've never really experienced physical sexual abuse, but I definitely still have weirdness around sex. And I definitely feel like kind of stuck and not able to connect to my authentic sexuality. And maybe I've been abducted, and sometimes they are, but most of the time we're just not able to acknowledge that just existing in our society is probably a form of sexual abuse because we've been exposed to distorted images of sexuality without our consent as young people that are learning, right? As little 4 or 5 year olds. And so that was very disturbing at this concert.